Hello, I'm Theo Kapodistrias. I'm an award-winning lawyer, speaker, and the author of the book Away with Words. And I'm going to be on the Online Prosperity Show. In this episode, we're going to hear about my journey, how to communicate effectively, and how to connect with your audiences, as well as my experiences from the world of retail, legal, and TEDx. So join in and can't wait to see you there.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Online Prosperity Show. I'm your host, Prosper Taruvinga, and today we have a truly remarkable guest who has a way with words. Now, literally, this is Theo. Theo, how are you doing today?
Hey, I'm very well, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, for those that are meeting Theo for the very first time, let me just take you out of your misery. Now, Theo is a multi-award-winning lawyer and speaker, a presentation and communication skills coach, and the mastermind behind TEDxHobart. And as if this wasn't impressive enough, he's also the author of the best-selling book Away with Words. If you've been on the internet at least twice this week, you would have seen him presenting this book, because it is obviously become the number one bestseller. But he is literally going on tour and helping other people speak up, show up, and make an impact with their voice, and making them a confident communicator. Now, he's also on his mission to empower business leaders and professionals to show up and create for and relate to the audiences that they're going to be working with. So let's dive in and learn a little bit more about Theo's incredible journey. And I know this is going to be insightful, fun, and inspirational. Now, Theo, I could go on and talk about things I know nothing about. You at least have a way with words. Tell us a little bit about your background, and from the time that led you to become a lawyer, speaker, and now communications coach.
Yeah, so um where to start? I guess I grew up in a small business family background. So my family have run a grocery store forever. So my grandparents started it, and now my parents are there, and I was always behind the counter, and that's something that I still do as well to this day. So I help out the family when I can. And then somewhere along the line, I decided, I think it was when I was in high school, I decided that I wanted to become a lawyer because it combined a number of things that I really enjoyed. It combined my English side of things because I really love language and communication. I loved learning about society and how, I guess the law interacts with creating a stabilized society. And I also love drama and performance. And all these things combined, law kind of made sense as a pathway. So then I worked towards getting into the law degree and got in, which was great. And I did a combined Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Law. And then after finishing those, did a graduate diploma of legal practice. And it wasn't long after that, I became a lawyer. So in 2014, I started my first legal job, and I was working as in-house counsel for the University of Tasmania. And that was sort of the place where I kicked off my career. And it was during this time I started getting asked to speak at events. And the very, very, very first sort of large event I got asked to speak at was in New Zealand. And it was pretty amazing because I was picked out to travel, internationally to speak at an event where, about something that I was working on. It was a project I was involved with. And then from there, I started getting asked to speak at more and more events. And I really, really loved it. But the thing that sort of stopped me from finding this exciting and interesting was I was speaking on things that weren't necessarily my topic. It was stuff that, I was asked to speak on. Oh, can you speak at this legal event about this? Can you speak at this event about that? Rather than my own thought leadership and my own interest topic. So the end of 2019, I sat down and strategized, all right, if I'm going to do this in my own way, how do I do it? And what do I want to speak about? What is it that I know? and it came down to the this topic of communication and collaboration, I'd say initially. These are the two things that I thought would be really interesting in terms of the stuff that I am passionate about and how I can help an audience. So it was beginning of 2020. I launched my website and said, I'm a speaker, and this is my opportunity to go out there to the world and share my message. But it was also at this time when the world shut down because, of course, we had a global pandemic. But what it gave me was an opportunity to think about, what it is that my business will do, what it is that I'm really interested in. And while doing this, I was also still working as a lawyer, and I still am to this day as well. Um, but yeah, it gave me time to think about, I guess, all the assets that I have and the marketing and the approach and what it is that I find cool. And then I guess I niched down and refined my business a little bit more. So made it more solely focus on the communication and presentation skills side of things and public speaking, and created a range of keynotes from there and started getting engagements and started to speak regularly. And then from there, have expanded the business to include coaching, MC work, an online course, and now a book. And it's been a few years in the making, but yeah, it's been a lot of fun and an exciting journey to be able to, work with international clients and brands, be able to speak locally, nationally, and internationally, and to now have a book which encompasses a lot of, the stuff that I would love to help people with in their communication journey.
Absolutely, and congratulations on your journey thus far, Theo. I mean, obviously, having started, like you said, from behind the counter, for a lot of people, they wouldn't understand, because there's not a lot of grocery stores in mainland or in the first world, so they wouldn't viscerally understand that that is something that as a young kid you had an opportunity to start learning to speak to randoms and people that would come into the store. Would you say that was fair? I mean, that was a training ground for you to speak to the people that would come into the shop regularly?
Yeah, yeah, a brilliant training ground. So that job in particular allowed me to, I guess, figure out how to communicate to strangers, start up a conversation, just start chatting. I guess while I was studying at uni as well, I had the opportunity to work as a pharmacy assistant, which so useful for the communication space, also useful for the legal space as well, because what you're doing is you're communicating what is often complicated concepts to people who might not necessarily understand, and you're helping people to find a solution to their problem. So you're constantly explaining and having conversations with people and helping them to understand and figure out, what it is that they need to make them feel better or to achieve a particular goal, whatever it might be. So the retail space is incredible for developing those initial communication skills, particularly for interpersonal communication.
Absolutely. I mean, for other kids growing up, they're always told stranger danger, don't speak to people you don't understand, and things of that nature. But that also opens up your vocabulary, that opens up your confidence in knowing that you can communicate to somebody else. And what you just threw in just there being a pharmacist. I don't know what it is about going to the pharmacy and the pharmacy being on that sort of elevated podium where they have to speak down to somebody who's maybe ill and not understanding. So there has to be some sort of communication that goes into there. Now, obviously, these various industries, like you say, retail, also you've been in higher education and legal as well. How have these diverse experiences maybe shaped your approach to communication and presentation coaching?
Mm. So I guess yeah, my sort of legal background, I can dig into that because I've worked in the higher education sector, the cybersecurity sector, the tourism sector, and now the sort of energy technology sector. And all of this has meant that I've had to understand and learn about really niche and technical issues, and I have to help people to understand what they need to do to comply, or if they ask me a question, I need to ensure that any sort of legal response I provide to them is going to be useful and helpful. So one thing that's been really important to me is, I've had to figure out some of the key steps to ensure that how can I make this stuff relevant to the people that I'm talking to. So it's enabled me to figure out and be really clear on the particular audience that I'm talking to. So I always think about when we look at technical legal speak, or it doesn't have to be legal, it could be like financial, it could be insurance, it could be, industry related stuff. That stuff can be complicated for people who don't understand it and haven't had that experience. So being able to focus in on and be really clear on the people that you're talking to and what it is that they need and the context that it's in is a very important first step. And my jobs have allowed me to really hone in on that, which has been great, as well as figuring out how to then communicate the message to them and what format should I do that in. Because you can put stuff in an email and it's the most easy and basic way to send a message across. But are there other ways? Can you make short videos? Could you do it in a training format? Could it be in a presentation? And then if you are doing it in a presentation, how are you structuring it? What is the material that you're using? These jobs have allowed me to then really unpick a lot of this stuff. And a lot of this content that I've gained from my corporate experiences is stuff that I've put into the book itself. Um, because for me, it's so important for people to figure out how to achieve these key skills and how to ensure that they're able to share a message and for it to reach an audience so it actually impacts them and is useful for the person who's sharing that message.
Absolutely. Now, Thea, there's one thing to start a business, and it's another thing to start a business when you're getting into the pandemic, which is something that you have managed to do and have done. I know a lot of people, found the pandemic to be a place of growth and transition and for them to figure themselves out. But you were obviously, dealing with having to speak to an audience, and yet the world was shut down. How did you manage to rally the troops, so to speak, and actually grow a speaking business while there was nobody to listen?
Mm. I mean, we had this really interesting time where, although there were no live events, they were virtual. So I had the great opportunity to then, find events that were running completely virtually and to say, look, I'm beginning this journey as a speaker. I'm also still working as a lawyer, but would you be interested in being like having me to share what I've got to say on your platform in your environment, in your virtual environment? And, it took a couple months to get there, but I had a few bites and it allowed me to then, kick off this journey and to really get into it. So I think we were lucky that there were opportunities to share a message and to connect with an audience, but it just wasn't in the traditional format. So, being able to quickly adapt and learn how to present virtually was something that I had to pick up and develop and learn, as I'm sure a lot of us did. Because, prior to, I guess, 2020, a lot of people hadn't used virtual platforms like Zoom or MS Teams or anything like that. And now it's, all right, where are we connecting to have this conversation? Is it Teams? Is it Google? Is it whatever it might be? And now, I think we're all very equipped with how to do all sorts of stuff on here. So definitely an amazing learning opportunity for us. Horrible time, but we all had to pivot and change somehow. So this is all part of it.
Absolutely. I think I don't know if you remember the video that went viral. The guy who was doing a crossover for, was it CNN or some major news corporation, and the little girl came waltzing. I think that video in and of itself was when people started accepting that you can actually work from home, and that automatically sort of opened up the channels like you did. But you didn't stop at the virtual sort of transmission. You went on and created TEDxHobart into a significant platform under your direction. I mean, first of all, what motivated you to take this role, and what's come out of it?
I guess I was really fortunate during the pandemic once again to get the opportunity to do a training program called TED Masterclass. And I was awarded that through the Association of Corporate Counsel who were working with TED to I guess offer a scholarship platform for people to have a go. And I was chosen to be one of the pilot program people. And the program taught me how to do a TEDx talk. So I created my own TEDx talk, which was then featured in a few global events, which was really cool. And yeah, I guess that then inspired me because I already love the TED platform. I thought it was really cool being able to deliver a message in such a short time and to transform how people view something to something else. Like, I think it's fantastic. And being able to, I guess, know how to do that was really cool. So that then inspired me to say, okay, if this is how we do it, can I then help other people to do it? And I learned, I guess, a little bit more about, the process of running a TEDx event, and I simply applied for the license under the name TEDxHobart because that's how the licenses are granted under a particular name of a location. And then I got it. So we ran the first event in 2022, and we were limited as to what we could do because it was still the pandemic at the time. So, the venue required people to be vaccinated. Everyone had to be wearing a mask, and it was except if you were speaking on stage. And it was such a really, really interesting time, and it gave so many people like who ordinarily would not have an opportunity to have a platform. It gave them a platform on stage. Then it gave them a global platform once their video was released into the wide world on YouTube. So we were really fortunate in the first year that every person who spoke at TEDx Hobart, their video was released online for the rest of the world to enjoy. And then, yeah, from there, I ran the 2023 event and, much the same. Although out of the global pandemic, we were able to, expand who could join and the event itself to what is an amazing platform, including one of our videos from that year exceeding 4 million views, which has given that speaker amazing opportunities to go on and do some other really incredible stuff. And then once again, I hosted and ran this year's 2024 event in May, and right now we've had majority of our videos go up. We've still got a few more pending, and already we're seeing thousands of views hit these videos, which is just great because these are people who are in a very small community now getting their message out to the world, and who knows how it could transform their lives, which is just a very exciting thing that I've been able to create a platform for these people to do amazing things.
Absolutely, man. If you're talking like that, the last time I was in Tasmania, I was in Devonport, and I noticed all the way from the airport while you're driving all the way to like the hospital there are virtually no traffic lights. That was one thing that I noticed. And so if you are able to transmit, information and messages from people that are living in areas like that to the rest of the world, kudos to you, man. I mean, obviously, this is something that is remarkable that obviously your legacy already has pillars on it that way. Now, what is it that made you shift your focus from obviously learning yourself to wanting to help others with their own communication? Because, so many people, I think it was Seinfeld that mentioned that, some people would rather be in the coffin than be the person that's actually eulogizing. So yeah.
I think for me, one of the things that transformed my career and enabled me to go from what was a junior lawyer to the head of a global legal function was the fact that I was able to transform how I communicated a message and being able to simplify and allow a message that can resonate with a variety of people is such an important skill that we don't consider. Um, Indeed, I believe it was Indeed.com that said that the number one skill for employability is communication. So for me, if I can help other people to get a better prospect at their job, it can transform so many things. So it can transform people's happiness. It can transform, their livelihood potentially. And I just thought, I'm constantly speaking to people who hate presenting, speaking, or, struggle with how to, I guess, effectively share a message over an email or a report. So if I can help people do that, I think, this is a great platform to do that. And I've been able to, I do that, I guess, in a few different forms. So as we mentioned before, I do a range of keynotes. I do workshops with people. I, do one-on-one coaching. I have an online course, but now I have the book as well, which is, I think the most accessible piece of information I have for people to like pick up, read, keep on their desk, and refer to. So I look at my book, and one of my reviews said this. They called it it's like having a coach in your pocket, which I thought was really cool. The fact that, people can hopefully learn and gain valuable skills from something that I've put together that's, available for a relatively affordable price that they can pick up and refer to anytime, forever, to help them to transform themselves and their speaking ability. So for me, it's just about being able to help people to, hopefully improve what they're doing.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, if you're going to help people speak up, show up, and make an impact with their own voice, and, like you said, at a fraction of the cost of, what you would have paid to acquire these skills in the form of, your book, A Way with Words, no wonder it's been a great success. Now, obviously, this is something that has been in the works for a while, but I haven't heard what actually inspired you to write this book, and what sort of key message do you hope anyone who's going to read this is going to take away from it?
Mm. I mean, I guess what inspired me was the fact that, I feel like I just had so much to share, and I created a methodology called the 5C methodology, which runs through five key things. So we look at clarity, so finding clarity of voice and clarity of audience, conciseness, being able to summarize things so it's just enough information for the particular people that you're speaking to, creativity, being able to deliver things in a creative format for that particular audience, confidence, being able to have a confident voice and having confidence in yourself and your abilities, and then connection, being able to use our communication to connect effectively and build trust with our audiences. And I wanted to like put all of this in a book because I thought, let's actually create a resource that people can refer to time and time again. And having done TEDx, having done like being a professional speaker and speaking and presenting, it just made sense for me to put into a book. And it was a hard slog. It was 2 years to get it done, and I had to keep reminding myself, what is going to be the impact of this, and it is hopefully that hundreds of people will be able to transform hundred thousands of people, I'll say, can transform how they're communicating, how they're effectively being able to progress in their world and in their lives through some simple tips and techniques that I'm putting into, 200 pages of work. And it's something that, you know, if people keep referring to it, keep, going back to, they're able to do that. So that, really is the inspiration for me to ensure that other people can just gain benefit and being able to do so in just a easy, accessible format.
Absolutely, and congratulations. I think this is a gift to a lot of people, because if you can be clear, concise, and creative, and also confident while you're delivering your message, you will be definitely able to connect with those that you want to create for and relate to. Now, what would be the best way that people can get a hold of this book?
So they can grab it from Amazon. It's probably the easiest format. If you type in "Away with Words," there you'll hopefully find the book and me, or well, the book there anyway, and it's available in Kindle format or hard copy.
Absolutely. I'll definitely make sure that all those links are in the show notes, and also links to your website there. Now, Theo, obviously you are now a seasoned speaker. I mean, obviously you've been on international stages, and you're going to be opening up a lot more stages with this book that you've created now. And in the process, you've also coached many would-be TEDx speakers and some that have also participated. Is there like a common piece of advice that you find yourself giving all of them, that you haven't sort of mentioned so far?
I guess there's common threads in a lot of this. For me though, I think a common thing that I tell people is the fact that it's so important to shift the focus away from yourself because people often worry, how will I come across? I am scared. I hate this. I don't like presenting. If you shift the focus away from focusing on you to focusing on the audience and the impact that you can make with your message, that then becomes a really good mental shift for people to think, okay, it's not about me. I don't need to worry about how I might come across or anything like that. But instead, it's about giving me this platform to share something that other people need to hear because speaking is a service and it's a service to your audience. And being able to do so effectively and to do so in a way that can resonate with a lot of people is really important. So I think that mental shift is super important for people to move away from, I guess, the worry that, me to you, which I think is just critical. Yeah,
Absolutely. Now, Theo, I don't know about Tasmania, but obviously, on the mainland here, so many people, when they are, going through their day-to-day lives, they usually look at maybe age as a parameter of, judging if somebody is qualified or equipped or knowledgeable in what it is that they are talking about. Now, with your experience and who you've become, you're a millennial, right?
I am. Yep.
Right. Haven't you come across, obviously, when you show up in certain places that people might just not take you seriously at face value until you've maybe started talking? And is that something that, communication can actually help with?
Yeah, and I think it's something I came across very early in my career. So I started working as a lawyer at 23, and that is really hard to get people to listen to you, particularly when your clients are significantly older and not in like a mean way. But as a 23-year-old, if you're providing legal advice to people in their 50s, it is hard to get traction. And I think the thing that did have to shift for me was my ability to transform a message that sounded very technical and legal and confusing and a bit mumbo jumbo-y to something that other people would pay attention to and understand. And it is a challenge that people can have. And I've worked with people who have said, I don't think I'm being taken seriously. And I'm like, well, what are we saying and how are we saying it? And can we transform how that information is being shared and what's being said to a format that allows you to then be taken seriously. So there's some shifts you can make, and these are things that I discuss in the book as well. There are shifts you can make. There are ways you can make yourself sound more confident, and I guess stripping back a lot of the technical stuff to using plain English can allow the audience, whoever they might be, to really listen in on your message rather than getting confused and to ignore it. So I think these are some very important shifts that we can make. And yeah, hopefully it can transform people that are, younger and might not be taken seriously to people who are, leaders in their form of work and their art form.
Mm. But somebody might be watching this Theo and thinking, Theo has spoken on TEDx. I mean, he grew up in a grocery store where he started speaking as soon as he could walk. He's a lawyer, and I've seen lawyers how they literally, can communicate different things. He's been a pharmacist. This might not be the thing for me. What's been like maybe the most rewarding, say, feedback that you received from somebody else who you have coached or worked with, and what sort of impact did it have on you?
So I'm working with a client at the moment who has said, you know what, your ability to help me to understand some of the gaps I have in my communication and then give me frameworks and options to transform how I've been able to share a message and connect and communicate with an audience has been transformational to the point that he's now received, a new job that's paying significantly more. So the fact that he's been able to transform his life through some of the work that we've done together has been super, super rewarding and exciting for me to see. And yeah, I've had similar feedback from people who have, been afraid to speak up in meetings to then being taken seriously at work now to also being able to speak at the board meetings that they ordinarily wouldn't have been invited to. So there are some significant shifts that can happen for people if they hone in and improve and work on their communication. I know for me, I've had to do so much training. So, it hasn't always been just the legal stuff because you don't do a lot of speaking in law school. It is one of those skills that you have to prepare for. I guess I've been really fortunate that I've undertaken my own training through several, masters in this space to pick up and learn how to do it in an effective way. And hopefully through, some of the resources I have available, people are able to do that too. Just pick up and learn and have those skills available to them.
Absolutely. Now, Theo, just listening to what you're saying, it kind of feels like you're giving people back to themselves or giving people permission to really step up and become confident and clear with what it is that they are saying, because this is something that we already possess. We already have a voice, we already have, whatever accents or words, but you just need to have a way with them. Would you say that this book is that tap on the shoulder for that, corporate person, that business person that really wants to step up their game and, start making sure that their message is heard, especially by those at the back of the room?
That's it, exactly. The book for me is giving people the confidence and control to give them the opportunity to speak and present and communicate, regardless of the communication method, to their respective audiences, to give them the opportunities they want to be the best version of themselves, hopefully. So for me, I've just, created like a range of tools, techniques, frameworks that give people the opportunity to do just that. And it's all in a 200-page book.
Absolutely. Now, Theo, I can't thank you enough for the time that we spent on the call today. I mean, obviously, your life story and your experience have so much value, and I know you're going to be helping a lot more people, obviously, become clear, concise, creative, and have confidence while they are connecting with their audiences out there. But when we started this story, you told us a tale of, a young Theo that was behind the counter and was speaking to all these people that came through and knowing what it is that they wanted and being able to converse with them to deliver on that. If, say, older Theo would walk into that grocery shop today and find younger Theo on the other side, what sort of advice would you give to this young man, knowing what you know about how your life has turned out?
Hmm. That's an interesting one because, yeah, I used to be a very shy kid. So, being able to even to be at the counter was a lot. So I think it was just a case of, don't worry, little guy, you'll find your voice and you'll be happy. Um, so just, yeah, it is really about finding the way and knowing that, you know, you'll be able to get through it and you'll be able to help other people do the same. So yeah, it's a pretty cool. For me, it's been a great transformation and it's been really rewarding for me to be able to help other people do that too.
Absolutely. And those are some wise words from somebody who's walked the walk and now talking the talk and has a way with words. Now, Theo, now that you've gotten us on your train, what can we expect? What's next?
Ah, great question. Well, hopefully you'll be able to see me at events near you. Maybe another book in the future, who knows? But right now I've only just finished this one, so hopefully getting plenty more, handy tips and tricks from this book to share with the world.
Absolutely. Now, Theo, do you understand that you've actually committed the ultimate sin right now in your last answer there?
Oh, I certainly have. Yeah,
Well, you do not promise of a new book and not promise to come and showcase it again on the Online Prosperity Show.
that's right. Look, if another one's coming, then we'll be back. Don't worry.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, Theo. I mean, obviously sharing your incredible journey and valuable insights with us today. I know a lot of people have learned a great deal. I mean, obviously the clarity, the conciseness, creativity, and also the confidence and how you can actually connect with your audience. And yeah, for those that are watching right now, thank you so much for tuning in to the Online Prosperity Show. I'm hoping that you have enjoyed this episode. If you have, just type in the comments there words, and me and Theo will be looking at a couple of people that we will be able to gift a copy of Theo's book. If you type in the word words, and we'll tap you on the shoulder, and I'll make sure my team will deliver a copy to you. And don't forget to hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe to this channel for more inspiring content. Until next time, stay prosperous and have a way with words. Bye for now.